Have you ever seen beauty so dangerous it brings death? Have you heard of a woman whose silence was mistaken for witchcraft? Or of a girl so pure that even the gods wept when men called her evil? Her name was Edewele, daughter of no man, the one they called the witch of Uromi. But this is not just a story of witchcraft. It is a story of envy, love, and a young native doctor who defied his gods to save a girl the world feared. A long time ago, in the ancient land of Benin Kingdom, stood the quiet village of Uromi, surrounded by red earth and sacred trees whose roots were old as time. And when the moon rose too quickly by night, the villagers of Uromi believed that the gods had walked faster than men. In this same village was a young, beautiful girl whose beauty brought peace to some and jealousy to others. Her name was Edewele, the daughter of a man who had died before her first cry reached the heavens, and a woman who followed him soon after. She was raised by her grandmother, Ine Odianose, a woman whose back was bent by age, but whose tongue was still sharp like pepper. Edewele was all Ine Odianose had. She was 82, and age still never stopped her from fighting for her granddaughter. Edewele's beauty was something no eye could explain. Her skin glowed like fresh palm oil under sunlight. Her hair coiled naturally like black silk, and her voice could calm even an angry spirit. But her beauty was also her curse. Uromi village was also known for two things: its sacred rivers and its beautiful women. But among them all, none could match Edewele. People said she was too beautiful to be human, that the gods must have carved her from dew and moonlight. Whenever she walks to the market, men's eyes followed her and women's tongues follows as well. Women hissed and rolled their eyes as their husbands stared at Edewele, forgetting they have wives. She is not ordinary, some market women whispers. Her eyes carry secrets, and her silence hides something. They would gossip among themselves. And for that, the villagers hated her, not because she had wronged anyone, but because men's eyes turned when she passes. Even the prince of Uromi, Prince Ogiva, once stopped in the middle of a royal parade when she greeted him with a bow. "Who is that maiden?" he asked his guards. "The orphan girl of Ine Odianose," they replied. "Hmm, I see. The gods must have spent too much time creating her," he muttered under his breath. Edewele had just one friend, and her name was Omosigo, a cheerful girl who loved Edewele deeply and often defended her from villagers. One evening, as they sat washing clothes, Omosigo said softly, "Edewele, do you not see how the men of this land looks at you, even the married ones?" Edewele smiled softly. "If beauty brings trouble, then I wish the gods had made me ugly," she said. And Omosigo replied, "But if beauty was a calabash, my friend, yours would be overflowing. No wonder people whispers when you walk by." But Edewele replied with another faint smile. "Let them whisper, Omosigo. My heart is clean, and the God sees everything. In Uromi, witches was not a story, but a living fear. Far beyond the marketplace, beneath the roots of the orgede tree in Uromi, three women met whenever the night carried no moon. They were not just women, they were witches. Edebi, Okalo, and Iwanfo. They were powerful and feared. The villagers knew who they were, but chose to live in denial. And for those who tries to expose them or report them to higher authorities, like the Oba, never lives to see another day. But still, the witches were angry, angry that their men no longer praised them, angry that the prince ignored their daughters, angry that all eyes and attention only rested on Edewele. The most feared among them was Okalo. The people of Urumi feared her more than death itself. No one remembered the day Okalo was born. Some said she was once a midwife who delivered kings. Others whispered she came from the belly of the night itself. But everyone agreed on one thing: she had lived too long on earth. Her skin was dark and wrinkled like the bark of an ancient tree, but her bones carried a strange strength that mocked her age. Her eyes were red, not from sickness, but from countless flights under the full moon. Her voice was like a whisper made of smoke, soft yet commanding, as though the spirits themselves bent to listen. Okalo was the Odionwere, the mother and leader of witches in the kingdom. No other dared disobey her. She could make a tree weep blood or make a man's heart stop in his sleep. She was said to have buried her own shadow long ago in exchange for eternal power. She called her coven together one night beneath the ogede tree. The night was full of stars and no moon. Bats danced among them. This Edewele Okalo hissed like a snake as she began, has stolen the gaze of men and disturbed the peace of our sisterhood. The prince dreams of her, and our husbands no longer looks at us. We must end her. We must end her shine before it blinds the land. The other witches agreed, nodding their head with evil delight. The men now bring gifts to her grandmother's hut, said Edebi as she spat on her palm. Even my husband Uwa looks at her as if she was the new goddess of beauty. Ainwafo cut in. Let us give them a new goddess to fear, she said with her voice low and bitter. Then she continues. People adore that child, ordinary Edewele, that was given birth to yesterday. Hmm. They say her skin shines like morning oil. I say, let her light be turned to darkness. Let her be the new witch in their mouth. Edebi said, nodding her head, when the night seeks blood, we shall point our fingers. They all agreed, sealing their judgment with a dance. And so they planned to destroy Edewele. The witches went to the river of spirits and tied three black feathers together and called upon Isu, the devil, the god of the night wind, as they all chanted together in chorus. Blind their eyes and make the innocent bear our sins. Blind their eyes and make the innocent bear our sins. Blind their eyes and make the innocent bear our sins. That night, a black owl flew across Urumi and pierced on the thatched roof of Ine Odianose, Edewele's grandmother, hot. The next morning, some villagers that goes to the farm before the croak of the cock saw the owl, believing it was a bad omen or a strange belonging of the mysterious Edewele. They just shakes their head and walk past. And when the cock finally crowed, a child in the next compound died mysteriously. The people cried out, all silently pointing at Edewele, just as the witches has whispered to the night. And as fear spread in Uromi, the witches smiled in the dark. Soon, sickness swept through the village of Uromi like harmattan dust. Pregnant women lost their babies. Men coughed until blood stained their lips. Goats died without reason. And then, one moonless night, the villagers of Uromi heard owls crying in cluters at the direction of Ine or Dianose's hut. It was the three witches. They feasted and started whispering into the minds of the people. And by the next morning, three children were found lifeless, their bodies cold but without wounds. And before sundown, the rumor had started going round the village about Edewele being a witch. The villagers screamed, "The house of Edewele has killed again, oh! The house of Edewele will finish our children." And at every meeting of the elders, one name kept returning: Edewele. Since that girl began to grow into a woman, misfortune follows our footsteps, one elder said. Her eyes are too calm for a human, said another elder. Her beauty, her beauty is not of this earth. Hence, I believe she is a witch, and her hands are stained with the blood of our children, said another. Rumors spread like wildfire from the night hunters that Edewele was seen walking alone at midnight by the old Ebohede tree. Her grandmother defended her. A woman who fetches firewood at night is not always a witch. Sometimes she only fears hunger at dawn. All of you should take your eyes off my granddaughter, you vultures of evil, she would say. But the people cried and fell at the doorstep of the Odionwere, the village guardian, to find out if Edewele was a witch and the one responsible for the misfortune in Uromi. The Odionwere sent for Omorogie, the witch seer. He was sent from Benin to come investigate and fetch out the witch. When the witch seer Omoroge arrived, he arrived on her horseback with bells ringing and guards carrying sacred staffs, walking beside him barefoot. Some villagers, on seeing him on the road, followed him, and when the witch seer Omoroge arrived at Ine Odianose's hut, Edewele was pounding yam for her grandmother, with the drum of judgment echoing across the kingdom. Edewele rose ahead and screamed her grandmother's name, Ine, Ine, and her grandmother ran out of the house. On seeing them, Ine Odianose fell to her knees, pleading, "My granddaughter is innocent. She has no evil in her. Oh, witch seer, have mercy." And the witch seer, Omoroge, replied, "The gods demand confession and purification to the land. The one responsible must be brought before the shrine of purification. And if she is indeed innocent, like you claim, the gods will show her mercy. And her beauty is beyond this world. I doubt if she is human. Guards, take her," he commanded. And so, Edewele was seized and taken to the village square for confession. During the purification ritual at the village square, women spat on the ground as she was brought forward. Men shook their heads in pity, and when the ritual started, Edewele fainted as soon as the sacred chalk touches her forehead. The people cried out, "Ah! The witch cannot even stand the purity of chalk." Ha! The villagers said, as some spat and cursed behind her. After a while, Dewele regained consciousness, and the witch seer stood and said, "Edewele, daughter of no man, you stand accused of witchcraft, of causing death, sickness, and barrenness in Urumi. What do you say for yourself?" Edewele's lip trembled, but she spoke softly. "If my beauty offends, let the gods take it away from me, for I have harmed no one. I might be what the sea, but my hands are clean." Yet the villagers screamed louder, "Witch! Witch! Let her be taken to the shrine of Idene or Ayelala for judgment." And so her fate was sealed. As she was dragged and taken away by the guards, only her grandmother, Ine Odianose, and Omosigo, her childhood friend, who was standing among the crowd, followed behind her, crying as Omosigo screamed at the top of her voice, saying, "Edewele, my friend, I believe you. Don't worry. I will take care of Ine. The gods will not abandon you." Edewele turned towards her and smiled faintly through her tears. "Do not cry for me, Ine, and my sweet friend Omosigo, because even the moon must pass through darkness before it shines again. By the gods, I will be back." The witch seer Omorogi carried her away in chains to the shrine of Ayelala, where truth never hides. It was a sacred ground, surrounded by giant trees whose roots looked like a snake frozen in worship. But the chief priest demanded they take her to the shrine of Ideye for confession. The shrine of Ideye stood deep in the forest, guarded by spirits older than men's memory. It was said that those who entered the shrine never came out unless the gods willed it. So she was taken to the shrine of Ideye, where the spirit would decide her fate. A young native daughter named Iyayi was chosen by the gods and the kings to oversee her purification. He was barely 40, tall, quiet, and gifted beyond his age. The elders said his birth was marked by thunder, a sign of divine calling. When Edewele was brought before him, Iyayi looked at her and froze. There was no darkness in her aura. He felt a strange pull in his chest. It was a kind of compassion he had never felt for any accused witch before. "Who is this maiden that the gods has sent to my doorstep?" he asked with a whisper. "She is the accused witch of Uromi," replied the witch seer. "Traditions demand that she stays here 6 days and 6 nights, and if she makes it to the seventh day, she would confess her sins before her blood will be offered to cleanse the land." When the witch seer had left, Iyayi turned to her gently. "What is your name, child of silence?" he asked. "Edewele," she replied softly. Then he asked her, "Do you know why you are here?" And Edewele replied, "Because the witches and envy speaks louder than truth," she answered. Iyayi stared at her, surprised. He saw courage where he expected fear. He saw innocence where others saw evil. Edewele looked up at Iyayi and whispered, Baba, do you believe I'm guilty? She asked. Iyayi replied with a firm voice, It is not I who judge, but the gods. That night, Iyayi poured libation and chanted ancient verses beside a burning fire, and her face kept appearing in the flame. Then he placed a sacred chalk on her forehead, and as usual, Edewele fainted again. But Iyayi didn't look surprised. Rather, he commanded her to speak. Edewele, the daughter of no man, I command you to speak. Confess. And Edewele, whilst still unconscious, with her eyes closed, whispered, I have nothing to confess but kindness. The God sees my heart. Then he wrote her words on a leaf and burned it. The smoke rose straight to the sky, meaning truth. On her first night at the shrine, Iyayi dreamt he saw her standing in a white light, surrounded by doves. Then he woke up and stood to go check up on her, but what he saw made him speechless. He saw 3 hours perching above Edewele's chamber at the shrine, watching her sleep. Iyayi stood, staring confused at the owls. Then he muttered to himself, Is she a witch or a spirit blessed with unseen powers? He wondered. On her second night at the shrine, Omosiho, her best friend, came visiting, kneeling by the door, unable to enter the chamber of Edewele, for it is forbidden for anyone accused of witchcraft to accommodate a guest in the sacred shrine of Ideye. With tears rolling down Omosigo's eyes, she said, Edewele, my friend, how are you doing? And Edewele replied, Omosigo, you came. I've missed you, but I don't understand why I'm here. How have you and Mama been? Omosigo sniffed her nose and replied, Mama is trying, but she is not holding up very well. She keeps cursing at the gods for gracing you with the kind of beauty that is not meant for human eyes. But Edewele, why did the gods have to punish you for such a gift? If it will bring you doom, then why grace you with such heavenly beauty? Edewele silently cried, making sure Omosigo won't notice her weeping. But Omosigo, with her sharp ears like that of a rat, can hear both the slightest sound. Then she said, Edewele, it's okay. You don't have to bite your lip crying in silence. I can hear you. Edewele sniffed. Wiping her nose, she said, Did Mama give you a message for me? Why are you here? And Omosigo replied, Edewele, they are preparing your grave already, she cried. The witches dance in joy that your blood will cleanse their sins. Edewele replied, Do not fear for me, Omosigo, cause the God sees all things, even lies that was whispered in the dark. Iyayi, hiding in the dark, on hearing this, his heart broke, open with emotions and pity. For 6 days she remained in the shrine. Iyayi visited her daily with water, herbs, and prayers. Each time his heart grew weaker against his duty. He knew this was no ordinary woman. Her grandmother, Ine Odianose, couldn't visit. The law states she will have to wait until after the cleansing and purification rites were complete. since they were related by blood. By the sixth night, the witches gathered again under the ogede tree and called Edewele spirits. Then they whispered confusion into her dreams, showing her visions of dead children and women crying. She woke up screaming. Iyayi rushed to her side and held her. They are in my head! They are in my head! She cried. Voices telling me I killed them. They are in my head. The gods are testing your spirit. Please hold on, my love, he replied, without realizing he called her my love aloud. Iyayi then placed his palm on her chest and began to chant. The guardian of light shall not bow to lies. The guardian of light shall not bow to lies. Slowly, her breathing calmed as she raised her head, staring into his eyes, for her ears wasn't sleeping when he called her my love. It was then Iyayi realized he must have poured out his heart unknowingly. Their eyes met. Something pure passed between them, not of man and woman, but of soul and spirit. Then he whispered, if the gods take you tomorrow, Edewele, they take a part of me too. I think my heart has built a nest for you. She smiled faintly. Then pray they spare both of us. I, the witch of Uromi, and you, the young priest of Idea. She scoffed. May the gods show us mercy on this journey of love. She took a deep breath and said, Iyayi, I have a confession. Iyayi leaned in as if about listening to a moonlight tale. I am a witch, she began, but I'm not like the others. My mother was part of the assembly of the night, but she refused to kill. And when she gave birth to me, her gift was passed on. I can fly and belong to a coven called Enofwa, meaning the white ones. But by the gods, we have never harmed anyone. Iyayi, on hearing this, then vows to protect her from the villagers who believe she is too beautiful to be human and the one responsible for the wrongdoing going on in Uromi. On the seventh night, when the moon reached its highest point, drums echoed through the forest. The chiefs, elders, and the king's envoy, with the villagers, gathered at the shrine for Edewele's judgment. Edewele stood in white, her face pale but her heart calm. The king's envoy, Ihama, placed a mirror of fire in front of Edewele. The mirror was an ancient Benin artifact that reveals hidden secrets. It was said to reveal the truth no tongue could hide. Iyayi stood nearby. The three witches were among the crowds, chanting softly to manipulate Edewele's mind. Whilst hiding among the crowds, they whispered their final spell at Edewele, saying in hushed tones, let her tongue confess what her heart denies. Let her words condemn her soul. Let her tongue confess what her heart denies. Let her words condemn her soul. They muttered in their chants. Edewele fell to her knees, like an unseen force had pushed her to the ground, rotating her neck like someone possessed or in a trance. Then suddenly she yelled, like someone in pain, with her mouth trembling. Weakly she said, I am a witch. I caused the sickness, barrenness, and the death. All of it. I am guilty, she said, with tears rolling down her face. The villagers screamed in horror. Then Ihama, the king's envoy, stepped forward and said, It is time for the mirror to bear witness to her words. The guards pulled Edewele to stand before the mirror. The mirror showed Edewele's spirit flying with black wings of smoke. The crowd screams. Iyayi lifted his staff up, torn between mercy and duty. As Edewele knelt down, crying before him, his heart beating very fast, his mouth failed to pass judgment. Let the gods see my heart, she said. Let them see my heart and not my wings, she cried. She screamed, crying profusely. I am tired, Iyayi. Call upon the gods to judge me, she pleaded, staring weakly at Iyayi. The crowd stood, waiting for Iyayi to pass judgment on her. But with his staff lifted high, he couldn't say a word. After waiting for a while, Ihama, the king's envoy, then stepped forward and said, by her judgment, the gods have spoken. She shall be sacrificed by morning. Iyayi turned and cried out, no, you fools! But the guards pulled Edewele up, dragging her away as Iyayi continues. Leave her alone. I was listening to the gods. Her lips speak not her will. Darkness has deceived her mind. She is under a spell. But his voice was lost in the crowd, chanting, sacrifice her! Sacrifice her! That night, Iyayi ran into the shrine of Ideen and did some sacrifice unto the gods, begging for mercy. Then he also ran to the shrine of Ayelala, knelt by the door of the shrine after dropping a native bowl of sacrifice. By the altar, he started chanting and praying desperately and spitting adage, great gods of our fathers, show your truth. If she is pure, let your wind speak, he cried at the top of his voice. The next morning, the ritual of execution was prepared. Edewele was tied and made to sit down under the sacred Iroko tree, her body trembling in fear. The other priest that was summoned by Ihama began the chant. Iyayi, on the other hand, was still kneeling at the shrine, speaking on behalf of Edewele and crying for intervention. Just before the other priests, the witches, and the villagers could do anything to Edewele, the sky suddenly turned dark. Though it was morning, the winds rose, shaking the shrine violently as it began to rain, and a blinding light filled the square. Edewele's chains broke, and her body lifted into the air, her eyes glowing like her spirit has taken over her body. White doves flying in circles around her. Then a thunderous voice echoed from nowhere, saying, you blind children of the earth, the innocent you condemn is the light I sent to heal your land. She is the light of your darkness. She is a thing, the goddess of power, hence the reason for her unbeatable beauty. She carries my mark, and those who framed her will taste their own poison. Lightning struck the orchid tree where the witches hold their meetings, and suddenly the three witches screamed and turned into crows. The crowd screamed in horror, and one after another they vanished. The people of Uromi and the elders, along with the king's envoy, all fell to their knees, begging Edewele for mercy. Show us mercy. Please show us mercy. Please have mercy, they cried. Iyayi, running to save Edewele, got there right on time as she descended slowly to the ground. Iyayi caught her. Edewele fell into Iyayi's arms, unconscious but free from the dark witches. That same night, the witches of Uromi screamed in pain from across the kingdom. Their coven had been destroyed, and by morning, the next day, they were found dead. In their huts, tongue burnt, eyes darkened as if pulled out. Edewele was taken to the Oba, who gave her the mantle of purity to guide and help good and pure spirits from both the sky and the land. So, from that day, Edewele became a priestess of light under the guidance of Iyayi, who later married her in a sacred union blessed by the gods and the Oba, and she was reunited with her grandmother Ine Ojianose. The village later prospered again. No more deaths, barrenness, or sickness was ever seen in the land. People from far and near started visiting Edewele shrine to open up their deepest secrets that they were witches and marine children and needed guidance to understand their purpose and not use their powers for evil. Elda still says that when the moon is full, a glowing owl sits quietly on the ogede tree, watching, protecting, waiting for any form of evil. And even till this day, the old ones will tell the younger children this tale by the fire, saying, beauty is not a curse, and silence is not guilt. Sometimes the gods test the purest heart through the fire of envy. The moral lesson is that not every mystery is evil. Some are misunderstood gifts. When fear replaces understanding, even light can be mistaken for darkness. Thank you for watching this amazing story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so that others can take out something from this beautiful love story of Iyayi and Edewele. Bye for now.